Hi chat, it's me again. We're back. You know what? Maybe I'll actually bring back the consistent uploads. But anyways, since the Bloxburg update, I haven't really built anything. And you know, with everything being new and all, it's kind of motivated me to actually build something. You know, the Bloxburg map just has that new map smell. You know what they say? New map, new me. And if I haven't made it clear, everything's new. So for that, we're gonna build in a different style today. We're gonna build a Mediterranean home. It's already built. Kind of like 40%. Oh my god, not
dude,
again.
already built?
What is
Off
this?
camera
I hate
mining
this
to a
guy.
whole other level.
Yeah, whoops. But it's okay. I swear it's okay because this is not the final product. Like, we are so far from the final product. Like, we are so far from the final... I'm repeating myself. 40% of it is not too much. Like, I could... This is... Yeah, it's not that simple. And if you're an impatient watcher like me and you want to see what the final product looks like, you can skip to the very end of the video. I have put together a little cutscene for you guys. But anyways, to put it into very simple terms, I'm gonna show you what I have so far for each floor. And I think that'll give you guys a good idea of where I'm at. Okay, here we go. First floor, we got landscaping. It's pretty simple. It's just a straight up wall and some landscaping and this windy path. For those of you who want to build this, this is just straight up basic shapes and you just rotate it and you just slowly go down. For example, here are two steps. They're the exact same and then you just take them down and then you just move them using your transform tool. And then you just have to make sure you match up the corner. Just like that and you have a step. Next up, we got the second floor so far. So if you want to pause right here, this is your time to pause. And then here's the third floor. See, you can't really do anything with this because it's really not that much, so we still have a lot to do. Yeah, sorry guys, I maybe should have recorded myself building this, but here's the thing. I like to say that I do build a little better when I'm not recording myself build it, because yeah, that's just me. So in this video, we're gonna finish up this exterior, and what we're going for is somewhat of a Tuscan Mediterranean vibe villa type thing. Of course, we're gonna keep it reasonably sized. I guess this is as big as it's probably gonna get, but it could also get bigger. But yeah, man, this build is just so creamy. Might just be the lighting because it's a little orange, but dang, this is one of the better builds. But yeah, oh well, let's continue it. All right, so I'm gonna start out by saying this. It did not turn out as small as I thought it would be, and it actually turned out to be a full plot build. So yeah, yeah. It's big. I did not keep my word. But to be fair, I was in the zone. I was fully locked in for this entire build. And if you know me, I don't lock in very often. But believe me, when I do, I do. And if you're one of those people that skip to the very end just to see the final product and you're back here now, welcome back. Now you know you're in for a treat. It's okay, guys. Isaac's got you covered. This summer's gonna be legendary. So, starting out with the house, I decided to change every single column that I had placed so far. So, we're kind of backtracking, but it's fine. It was between 3 different columns. It was the really thick concrete one, the gray one. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, or the Roman one, or the other thick concrete pillar that looks like it's on Ozempic. So I decided to go with that one because it looked cool. Plus, I didn't want to do anything too much. Too much shape is too much shape sometimes. So that's the first tedious step that I did. And because I changed all of the columns, it would mean that I had to change all of the arches that I had, but that wasn't too complicated of a job. To be honest, there's nothing too complicated about this house at all. Like, compared to some other builds that I've done, I think this is actually on the more basic side. It's just the way I built it is a lot cleaner, or maybe that's just me, I don't know. But even then, the way I build houses are very unconventional. Like, there's a lot of things that could be streamlined into like 1 step, whereas I would take 7 steps. So if you're trying to rebuild this house, I would really not recommend it, and I really wish I could put this out as a pre-built. Maybe one day they'll open it to the public and they'll actually allow us to use basic shapes, but that day has not come yet, and you're just stuck here watching me build it. But anyways, for once, I'm actually taking my time with this because, you know, there's a lot of potential in this. So if it looks like I'm building really slow, then I'm probably building really slow. And so now you're watching me build the front road, which I decided to put on a slant because I am different. Yeah, I really have no idea why I did this, but I thought it gave the build a little more character than it normally would have if it was just like off the road. And also having it branch off makes it look a little more expensive, I think. Or maybe that's just the 2 cars parked outside. I don't know. And then I also decided to gate off the entire property because that also felt very expensive. If you guys don't get the memo yet, the idea is to make this house look as expensive as possible, you know, because that's just the vibe that Mediterranean style homes give off. Sometimes I feel like if you build Mediterranean, there's no way you can go wrong and make it look bad because the style is just so elegant. The only things you need in life are curves, shapes, and more curves, and maybe some defining features, but those also fall into curves. And Mediterranean homes, they have all that. They have the arches, they have the roof roof lumpies, and having any of those shapes in your house just makes it look that much better. So that's what we're gonna do with this house. But anyways, moving on, I'm gonna bring up it's not really controversial, but I'm just gonna ask you guys straight up, what are your thoughts on the new lighting? You know, the warm tone. I think for me, it's not as bad as it could be, but it also isn't the greatest, because some of the houses that I've built in the past, they're predominantly white, and with the warm tone, it just makes all the walls look yellowish, orangish, I don't know, linen, basically linen. And I don't know if I mess with that. But what's great about the lighting is that it's dark enough, and some spaces lighting just works better. So for any interior decoration, I think it's gonna look a lot better with the new lighting. But those are just my thoughts, and you'll see what I'm talking about come closer to the end of the video, what I mean by the warm tone. I decided to change all the wall colors of the house to a bluish whitish tone, and basically what that does is it counters the warm yellowness or orangeness. But those are just my thoughts. Going back to the interior of this house, I have not thought about that at all. I've just been focused on making the exterior the best I can make it, because I just know I'm gonna mess everything up. Like, all the balance that this build has on the exterior is gonna get thrown off by the interior the second I touch it. I do not have a great history of coloring or building anything inside homes, so you guys should have very little trust in me to finish the second part of this. But who knows, maybe I'll have learned a thing, and maybe my interiors have come as long as a way as my exteriors have. Who knows? Returning to what I am building, I am now building the left side of the house, as if that wasn't already clear. But the ideas in my head were to either, one, make a really long portion of the house that would just be for all the bedrooms, or two, make a really long garage. And of course, I chose to make a really long garage because we are trying to go for the most expensive house. That's like the side goal of this video. Aside from building my best house, I'm trying to make the most expensive looking house. I feel like those two go hand in hand. But anyways, there's not much to comment on here. I just made a really big rectangle, and then I also just added in the arches that we've already established earlier. I guess one thing I've started doing is curving my driveways. So if you're building a house on the second floor and you have a driveway that goes up to it, I've started using these wooden planks and slowly transform tooling them to make it look like there's a gradual slope instead of just a hard angle that's made by the ramps. I feel like it's such a small detail, but like if I were to come in and judge someone's home and they had the curve on their driveway, I would immediately point that out. It's like the tiniest thing ever, but it's just something I started doing, and I think it works, so I'm just gonna do it for this house too. And also for the driveway up, it was between making it wind around the entire house or just making it go straight up. And for the sake of difficulty, I just went straight up, because there's no way I'm spending all my time working on a winding driveway or a winding drive up to the hill. Who do you think I am? I've been AFK for like the last 3 months. But basically everything that you watched on screen is what I've managed to do in 1 hour, which is kind of sad because all I've managed to do is a wall, a little bit of the house, and a driveway. So if you think about it, there wasn't much progress made. But that's okay, because in the next part, we're gonna put it into a shift. Oh yeah, and here's some really quick footage of me being satisfied with my ramp. All right, recording number 2. This is where we lock the in. This is where we get the most progress. And as you can see, we're starting with the garage. So like I said earlier, I just drew out a really big rectangle and I finished it off with a hip roof. And that was basically it. To be honest, I think that's all you're gonna see me work on the garage for now, as I shift my focus to the tower. I swear, sometimes I watch back the sped up footage of me building and I feel like I just have ADHD or something, because I'll be building one thing and then the next second I'll be building something else. Or maybe it's like the ideas flowing into my head. I don't know. It could also be the fact that this is like sped up 4 times, but oh well. To comment on the tower, I decided to go for a pretty unique design, or I don't know if it's considered unique, but I wanted to use the fencing instead of basic shapes and a bunch of structurals, because that helps save a lot of plot data and I'm gonna need it for this house. So what I decided to do was use the fencing, not sure what it's called, but it's like a stone wall, and then referencing those columns, I'd used them as supports for a roof. And to be honest, I think it worked really well. I think it's one of the most creative parts of this build. It's just, it was really hard to resize the wedges to get them to fit, because for some reason, wedges don't size down to 0.25 or 3.5 or the 0.5s. They only size down to the 0.5s and the first digit, the 10. So that's a little annoying, especially when you're trying to align it. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't I just use a pyramid? Well, it's because pyramids don't resize to 4 grid spaces large. All basic shapes cap at 3 grid slots large, which is also kind of annoying, but I can see why they've done that. So I think if I were to say one part of the house is the most complicated, it would be that part. Or maybe any part that I use basic shapes to raise the level of the house, because I think the best way to tell that someone has a handle on basic shapes and building homes or something is when you can see them use basic basic shapes to bring the house to a floor that isn't the ordinary one. So like, you know how there's floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and you can navigate those on the right side with your arrows. If you can see someone use basic shapes to get to like floor 1.5 or 1.25, I don't know, basically fabricate a whole other floor like I'm doing with this roof. The roof isn't on the 3rd floor, it's on the 3.25 floor or something. But to be honest, I don't know who I am to tell you this. There are lots of pro builders that can probably give you better advice than I can, but that's just something I've learned for myself, and I think it makes whatever you build just that much more interesting. And also, feel free to use this tower design that I have. If you're building Mediterranean, then by all means throw in a tower. But after finishing that up, I went back to doing some tedious work, being the supports under all the overhangs of the roof, which was single-handedly the most annoying part of this build. While it made every inch of this build look great, it was really annoying to do. Like, sometimes I would look at a wall and go like, oh, it's missing the supports or whatever, and then I'd immediately lose motivation because it just took so dang long to do one. But I made it as copy and pasteable as I could, so you can see me drawing the plank and then pasting the basic shapes on top of it. I found that that was the easiest way to do it. But yeah, roof supports, by far the most tedious and annoying part of this, and because of that, we're gonna skip the next hour of me just doing roof supports, and we're gonna rotate back over to the tower. Man, sometimes I feel like I'm just repeating myself. But anyways, up here I wanted to do something like a garden, or just like a rooftop greenhouse maybe. You know how sometimes on the rooftops people have those wooden planters and they just have tiny crops growing? In other words, I'm trying to grow a garden but on my roof. And the hard part to figure out was how to actually get up to this terrace. And so I had the genius idea to make the stairwell in the tower, or in one of the towers at least. So you'll see me leaving a little space for a stairwell, and I'm gonna do that later in the video, but that's what that's for. And then up here it was relatively quick. I just finished off the walls just so people don't fall off the top of the house, because that wouldn't be good. And I wanted to put another tower at the backside, but just a little larger than the one at the front, because sometimes asymmetry is nice to have. But unfortunately, for some reason, I was lagging out and the servers just couldn't handle this masterpiece of a house. Okay, so that was a little awkward, but I guess this is a good time to go in and take a look at what we've built so far. Mind you, I did that in 2 hours, so this might be one of my slower builds, but there has been some progress. So obviously there's this street right here. I don't know what it is yet, but I thought it'd be cool to make it go on a slant, because making just a straight road is kind of boring. I mean, technically it's also straight, it's just on an angle, but that's besides the point. I knocked out this wall here because I don't know if that's gonna stay. Nothing over there has changed, but I've added these 2 giant gates. I think just one is fine, but oh well, we have 2 because we need to be rich like that. And then out here we have our driveway that actually connects to the road, and this is done using the carpets. I don't know if you saw earlier, I used like a basic shape that was a little shorter than the wall height, and then I just put the carpet on top of it, so it's kind of flush with the ground. But anyways, we have a driveway and it goes up here. I don't know what I'm gonna do over here yet, because I'm actually thinking off the top of my head for once. Usually I plan all this out, but I'm recording it as I go. But here we have a nice gentle slope up to the 2nd floor where we have our potentially garage. I think I'm gonna put like an entire row of garage doors just to make it seem like I'm rich and I have a bunch of different vehicles. And of course, the first thing that we did was put the columns on Ozempic, and so they're a little chiseled now. It's got that sexy definition to it. Aside from that, there's nothing much to talk about. I guess for this tower right here, what I kind of want to do is have a stairwell in here, and then it goes up to the top floor, where on the top floor we have a balcony or something. I don't know, I'm still working it out, because I think what we can do at the top is have a greenhouse type thing, or just, you know how in those really fancy homes the top floor is used for like a bunch of planters and there's just a garden up here? I think that's what we're gonna do here, because, you know, it kind of fits the vibe of the house. And man, this looks good. But anyways, time to continue. So now what we're watching is technically the 3rd recording, or the 3rd sped up footage of me building this house, and I probably should have mentioned this at the very beginning, but I will leave a link to the full speed build. Well, it's not a full speed build because I didn't record the first part, but it'll be a very big majority speed build of the house in case you do want to have a go at this, or if you want to know how I built something. So yeah, it's in the comment section. It's the pinned comment, and I'm gonna feel really embarrassed if it's not there when I post this. So if it isn't there, please spam me with notifications. But anyways, starting out, we just gotta finish this rooftop section, and to do that I just made a bunch of basic shape walls to to line the edges. And once again, I got a little sidetracked and I started working on the back balcony. Maybe next time I'm building, I have to tell myself to work on one thing at a time. Oh, okay, there we go. Now I'm back to working on the roof. And to make each of the walls up here, I simply took a basic shape and then gradually extended the sides of it to give it that chiseled look. And once I finished with each of those, I just pasted it onto the side and made it flush. And it's once again one of those things that are very simple to do, but it just adds so much detail to your home. But moving on, we're now working on the opening that I said I was going to make a stairwell for to get up to the rooftop section. And it might not make sense to you right now what it is, but I'm sure when it comes to the end, or if you've already watched the tour, it will make sense for you. And to wrap up the very top of the house, I decided to do another tower at the back, but a little girthier. I don't know, there's just something about these towers that looks really good, and I think is one of the things that I nailed on this build. And there's not a lot of things that I nailed. But moving on from the tower, we're starting to work on the balcony at the back, and I really wanted to capitalize on all of the exposure to sunlight that we're gonna get from this mansion. Like, for Mediterranean homes, they're usually placed in really hot climates, and you probably want to enjoy that hot climate. Unless you're Canadian, you'd love the cold weather. Oh my god, we're back to building the top of the house because I can't stay in one place. Oh well, I guess it's kind of quick. I was just working on a railing. Oh yeah, the railing. I used candle lights to act as the little supports between the railing guards, and I also got that from one of my judging builds videos. I don't know, there's just a lot you can learn from other people and steal from them. Well, not stealing, I just can't remember who I got that idea from, so I do apologize, but it was a very brilliant idea. But moving on, I'm gonna skip a big portion of the building process because the entire backside is pretty much the front side. Like, if you look at certain parts, you'll see some of the front, and that's just because I copied and pasted the front side to the back side. What do you know, copy and paste king strikes again. But yeah, we're gonna skip this part. But I will say, man, is it satisfying to watch me place those wooden supports, especially in 4x speed. Full grown man, by the way. Actually, everyone knows me for being a kid. Alright, so we're gonna jump to the front slash side part of the house, and to be specific, we're working on the right side. And the problem with this was that the wall was really flat. Like, I had a really hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to do here, and everything that you're watching me do right now is off on a limb. So I have no idea if this is gonna look good or bad, but the most we can do is cross our fingers. You can at least have a little bit of hope in me because it's the exterior, but if it was the interior, yeah, no. Dude, now I can't stop thinking about the interior because the second it comes to the interior, I'm gonna lose all my shit. You know what? That's a bad way to put it. That's a bad way to think about it. New Bloxburg, new me. I'm gonna be a beast at interiors. That's right, mark my words. I'm gonna be the next French Roses. But back on topic, you can kind of see things come together. I was basically trying to shape this entire side to fit a tower because I really liked the idea of using the towers. And to be honest, I think I also nailed this part. Like, aside from the very main tower part where there's a pyramid, there's also these two sides that drop off. And I think it gives it that extra shape that it needed for this entire wall on the right side, especially for it to not look as flat as it did before. And of course, we also have to add some more balconies because why not? Exposure to sunlight. Everyone loves a balcony. And this is when I decided to change the colors up because I decided I all of a sudden had 50 minutes to spend on painting. Yes, that is how long it took for me to change all the colors. And no, I'm not slow. But if anyone else is struggling with the orange tone, the warm tone of the lighting, I don't know if I said this before, but all you have to do is make it a little bluish or purplish. Because blue and purple are cooler colors and they're on the opposite side of the color wheel from orange, it helps balance out the lighting. But I also wouldn't recommend doing this. See, here's the thing. If you change your colors now so it doesn't look as orangey and the Bloxburg team decides to revert it back to a neutral tone, then you're gonna have to color all your things again and it's gonna be really annoying. But for the sake of this video and for time, I'm gonna do it because I am him. And I'll also try to leave the hex codes in the comment section below if you're trying to get the color palette or something. But it's time to move on to landscaping. But before we continue with the landscaping for this magical beast, I think it's worth going around just to, you know, highlight everything that we've done so far. You know, it's totally not to make the video a little longer because why would I do that? But anyways, starting out at the front, I added this little strip of grass because I felt it was kind of necessary. So maybe this side's like for bikers and this side's for drivers. I don't know. I still need to work this out, but it looks kind of cool. And I just got back from a trip to Miami and I saw a bunch of these little strips in the middle of the road with a bunch of palm trees and I thought it looked pretty good, so I decided to do that here too. I'm not gonna lie, I might have to go back and redo some of the palm trees because I don't know if they fit with the build, but you let me know. And off camera I added a fence gate. I wish there was a double version for this, or maybe I'm just blind, but I added this and we need to obviously rework this in the landscape, but nothing out here has changed. I added some fountains because I thought that was kind of fancy and this is a pretty fancy build. But going around, here's the entire front side in its full glory. So since the last check-in, we finished off the tower. We did this cool little design with the fences pieces, and I think it turned out really nice looking. I just have to put another structural at the back because it's not done. You know, I'm trying to get every single detail. Anyways, beneath the tower, there's a giant corridor that just pierces to the back of the house, but we'll check that out later. And then off to the left side, we have a long strip, and I think I'm gonna make this like a half garage, half clubhouse or bar type of thing, just because it links to the back side of the house. I'm not gonna go in there because it's super dark and there's also no floor, but yeah, this is what we have so far. And of course, it just goes all the way to the end. Over here for landscaping, I'm really not sure what to do. Like for the entire build, actually, landscaping is just gonna be a really big task. This could either make or break. I mean, it can't make or break the build. The build looks amazing, but it'll make it just that much better. And I really need to think of what I'm gonna do here. But anyways, here's the back side of the house. This is basically the same design out at the front, and then we continue the tower, but the tower at the back is just a little wider because who doesn't love some asymmetry? So we have a tower with a triple window here, and I think this is gonna be a bedroom. Oh my god, honestly, I have no idea how I'm gonna furnish this. Like, this is huge for an Isaac build. But anyways, we have our outdoor balcony out here that's accessible from these doors over here as well. And then you also have another door over there. And then on the back side, it's not exactly complete because we need to add a pool and then also some windows here. But here's the back side, and it looks pretty good. And then lastly, we finished up with this side. I was really contemplating what to do with this because it was just a flat wall. But I think this sticky outy bit kind of pulled it all together. Like, we got balconies and it's all symmetrical. And then this part of it is just really cool for some reason. Like, I don't know how I did that, but it just popped into my head. And lastly, we curved it off over here with another fountain, but that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything to show on the inside. Oh yeah, there's actually something to show. So there's these stairs that I did in the tower, and you know how earlier I was mentioning about how I wanted a staircase that led up to the rooftop where there's gonna be like a garden? Well, this is that, and I did this off camera as well, but this is all basic shapes. So there's a door that opens outwards here, and I need to continue the staircase, but we have a flight of stairs, and there's a nice little pause in the middle of it, you know, because you learn that in architecture school. You don't want to have a super long staircase with no breaks. But yeah, there's that. And now that's pretty much it. So we can continue on to the landscaping. Oh yeah, one more thing. Mediterranean Villa 2025 costs 956,151. And the plot data is 33.7%, which is actually really good because we still need an entire interior, which we're going to do in the next video because I am not going to finish this. Oh, but we also have these trees. Okay, less yapping, more working. We got to get this done. So to be honest, the mansion is pretty much done at this point. We're just working on the landscape now. So if you want to skip to the end where I do the final tour, I'll put the timestamp on the screen right now so you can skip there. But if you're a landscape enthusiast, then you might want to stick around for this because it really does turn the build upside down in a good way. First things up, we got to reorganize the stairs at the front because they do not line up with the road. So the thing I did with the road was I angled it at a 1:4 ratio or 4:1 ratio. I don't know. The run is 4, the rise is 1. I don't know if you guys have taken algebra yet, but like that's the first thing you learn. Rise and run. But yeah, back on topic. I had to align the stairs to that to make it feel like it was a little more uniform. And to be honest, I had no idea how to link the driveway and the front entrance steps, but I think whatever I did in the end turned out pretty good. But before that, we're gonna get sidetracked again. So I started working on this waterfall feature because I really wanted to implement something like that because I was really inspired by one of our judging homes videos. Dude, like everything in this build is inspired by a judging homes thing. But yeah, we're gonna use waterfalls to make it look like the fountain is spewing into a little lake or river, or maybe even a little pond. And you can tell I put my heart and soul into decorating this and making sure there's like no gaps because I went and did the rocks underneath the water too. And dude, even the mist that comes up from the waterfall, I tried putting that in as well. So I think when it comes to landscaping, I did not take any shortcuts. But moving to the front entrance, I decided to do some sort of organic shape for the path that goes to the stairs. So to do that, of course, I had to place the floors in first, but then I used dirt piles to get the shape I wanted. So that's a little confusing, but oh well, it works. And then I continued my landscaping over to the right, and this is basically just mansard roofs and bushes. They, for some reason, work really well together. Like, I thought even after placing the bushes, you'd be able to see the different layers of mansard roof, but they actually blend really well, and it makes it look like there's a gradual slope of bushes going up to the house. But moving on, to add to the shrubbery that I have going on, I decided to use rose bushes to get that pop of color in. I mean, the green and beige was kind of overwhelming, but it honestly didn't look too bad on its own. But once again, always nice to have a little bit of color. I can't believe I'm saying that because I never color anything. And once I got the right side done, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a banger. Like, the second I saw the waterfall and how it turned out, I was like, oh my god, I'm locked in. So I started repeating the bush pattern, the rose patterns over, and I needed a way to kind of separate the path from the gardening, and that's where these bricks come in. Using basic shapes in the transform tool, I made like a winding border that perimeters the garden beds. And at first I was kind of iffy on it, but the more you look at it longer, the more crisp it seems. Like, I don't know if you get that feeling, but it looks really clean. And so I continued doing that all the way until the driveway. And if you ever see me doing things like this, I'm literally making a house sign. Then that means I really am dialed in, because these are some of the least important details of a house, and I'm still doing it. But you know what? It turned out looking okay. So sometimes maybe it is nice to have some useless stuff. And once I got a majority of the left side done, especially with the bushes, I felt like there was something missing out at the front. And to fix that, I thought it'd be a good idea to put like a drop down balcony or a porch, you know, a place to just chill and watch the driveway or something. I don't know. Basically, I just wanted the house to feel as rich as possible, so having a flex at the front yard is insane, like a little patio thing. And to do this, I used basic shapes and the same walls that I used for the roof. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, nothing too hard to do. And now I'm gonna do something that's called being lazy, and I'm not gonna show you every part of me building the back side of the house. I don't know, I just didn't think it was that interesting. But if you do want to watch that part, it'll be in the speed build linked in the comment section below. But anyways, now it's tour time. Dude, I think this might be my best build ever, like full stop. Like when I started doing the landscaping on the right side, I was like, oh, this doesn't look too right. And then when I started getting the water in, it was like, huh, maybe I'm cooking. And then as I kept working over here, I just had a bunch of different ideas, just putting stuff in. But you know what? I've worked on this for long enough. I'm gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna do the rest off camera, because I'm sure you guys get the gist of it. But oh boy, we got something to tour today. Dude, oh my god, I think I shed a tear for this, because it's just, everything about this is just spotless. It's flawless. Well, actually, no, not really. See, the way I like to think about it, not everything's perfect. There's always room for improvement. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna build something and it'll top this one day, but I gotta say, this is like dang near close to 10 out of 10. Anyways, let me give you guys a tour of everything that I have so far, because I'm gonna do the rest off camera, like I said. But here we go. So on the left side, I removed the second gate, and this was because it just didn't fit at all, because, you know, there's one driveway and it's pretty wide, so I don't think we need another one. But maybe I'll come back to it and add it. I don't know. But I think it's better to start over here. So I finished up this green strip, and then there's the two cars, and nothing much has changed out here. So let's open the gate and walk in. So here we have our path. While I was working on it, I really wanted to go for something organic and kind of like curvy worvy. So this is what came out. I used a bunch of transform tool and a bunch of small grid placement, and it turned out pretty good. Like, especially this view from over here and the waterfall. I'll talk about the waterfall in a second. Like, that is insane. Anyways, really happy with how the path came out. And then over here we have a home number, or whatever you call it, but it's like the number of the home, and I thought that was a pretty good addition. I put 1-1 because not because I'm lazy, but because, okay, yeah, it's because I'm lazy. So I put 1-1. I didn't want to make another number. And then over here we have our gradual step up to the garages, but I think it's better we step over here just to get the front entrance first. So we started with this. If you guys remember the winding staircase, I had to touch it up a little just to make it curve a little more and actually line up with the slant that we have going on here. And I thought a really nice addition would be a waterfall, because I was really thinking about that from the very beginning. Dude, there's just like so many things you can pick up from the Judging Homes builds that you could use in your own build, and this is one example of it. I used the waterfalls to make it seem like the water's actually flowing, and then underneath this, I don't know if I can even go down there, but there's smoke machines, so that just makes the whole idea of falling water a lot more realistic. And that water leads into a little pond right here. I don't know what it is. I was honestly contemplating wrapping it around the entire house, but I feel like that might be a little too much, so I just kept it minimal. But anyways, back up to the steps. Here we have our first fountain. Nice little lookout over the everything. Bro, this is so nice. And of course we have all the landscaping. It's just a bunch of bushes. So walking up to the actual house, I'm sure you guys have seen this enough. There's not much to comment about it because there's no interior, but for the exterior, here's the main entrance. It's a little small for the size of the house, but to be fair, I did not anticipate this getting to a full plot like it is right now. But yeah, off to the right we have a fountain, and this wraps around to the back, and then there's a tennis court, but I'll go into that later. This build's really horizontal, but I think it kind of works. Anyways, over to the left we have open doors. Don't know what this room's gonna be yet, but I'm sure it'll be something like maybe a living room or a kitchen. And then further to the left we have our first tower. This first tower I'm sure you've seen many times. You can walk underneath it and then go all the way to the backyard, which I think is a pretty nice touch. And then over here is the garage. I'm not gonna go in there because there's no floor, but there's that. And that's what this left building is over here. Decided to go for some curvy worvy bits right here as well. So we got 3 garage doors with that build hack where you can curve the windows. Unfortunately the garage doors don't move with the curve, curve, but that's okay. I feel like I'm gonna touch up this runway type thing because it's really long. Maybe I'll make it curve out a little. I don't know. If anything's ever looking really boring, then all you have to do is make it curve a little. But anyways, I'd like to point out that almost all of the overhangs have the wooden supports. These ones are a little scuffed over here, but it's okay. If you look at it from afar, it sells the house, so that's all that matters. So out at the front, I thought it was a little empty as well, so I decided to add this drop down area where you can barbecue and chillax or whatever and enjoy the sun in your eyes. And to be honest, it kind of makes the house feel a lot more rich and expensive. Like without it, it's just a flat front facade, but with it, there's like a little bit of leisure there. I don't know, that might be getting a bit too nerdy, but let's step on over to the back. Let's use the passage underneath the two towers, and this exits out to the back through the second tower. And here we have the backyard, which is partially done. As you can see, there's no grass right here and there's no floor, but it's okay. We have a custom pool. It's shaped very oddly. I decided to do this because I didn't want to be lazy with the pool and just make it a rectangle. Plus, it kind of contrasts the house, so that's nice. Curvy pools are more expensive too. You gotta love that curvy worvy. And then back here we have more lounge chairs, a dinner table. Maybe you want to eat outside, and then we have a kitchen outside as well, a storage house. Don't know what I'm gonna put in here, but I'm sure it'll be something. But overall, we just have a really big terrace and then a little planter over here. And then over here, stepping down, we have our tennis court. This was kind of like a last minute thing, and I kind of have to fix up the wires a little because that last one is hanging a little too low for my liking. But yeah, we have a tennis court. That just adds more to the expensiveness of the house. To be fair, there's not much to comment on. It's just the same designs repeated over and over and over again. So like here's obviously the tower design, and then we also have the railing, and the railings are made out of candles if you don't remember. So it's basically the same thing copied and pasted, so I guess it fits me completely. Dude, I don't even know how to comment about this. I don't even know how I built this. Like, this is absolutely insane. I have nothing else to say. I'm just smiling so widely at this. Like, dude, I wish I could upload this as a pre-build. One last thing before I go, I'm gonna look at the plot value. Okay, this is actually not too bad. Mediterranean villa, $1,405,762. And the bills are pretty cheap. As for plot data, the thing is now at 42.8% plot data with 140% total. So if you think about it like that, I think we're still good for the interior considering mine are pretty minimalistic. But I'm gonna get the rest of the house done, and hopefully I'll be able to finish the interior in the next video. Maybe, I don't know. This is beautiful.